Mmm, that's tasty. And it's surprising too because this gypsy stew is over 250 years old. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up a bit.
Meet writer and chef Theresa Carle-Sanders. She loves food.
I do. I've loved food my whole life.
She lives on Pender Island with her husband.
Howard!
And their dog, Coda.
I am an Islander, and when we moved here, a lot of my friends said, no way, she won't last. She's a city girl.
They've been here 12 years, transplants from Vancouver.
I had it.
Leaving behind the duties she loathed for a calling she loves.
I don't know, I just think about it all the time.
She loves blogging, too, reading, and time travel, cooking fictional food, and she loves Scotland. Actually, she doesn't time travel, but heroine Claire Randall in the Outlander book series does.
And I love them. I read them over and over and over. 6 weeks ago, I'd been innocently collecting wildflowers on a Scottish hill to take home to my husband. The story is of Claire Randall, who's a World War II nurse who travels back in time accidentally when she's on holiday with her husband in Scotland. I was now shut in the room of a rural inn, awaiting a completely different husband, whom I scarcely knew, with firm orders to consummate a forced marriage at risk of my life and liberty.
Incidentally, Theresa does create food from fiction.
I just want to get people passionate about cooking again. I don't think I'm ever going to write a great novel, but I can write about food and talk about food all day long.
And thousands of her fans can't wait to see what ancient edibles she'll stir up next.
It's a romance, it's a sci-fi, the language is beautiful.
And it has food.
I was cautious, but we were welcomed with expansive motions and invited to share the gypsies' dinner.
Theresa pulls the fictional food from the pages, like this gypsy stew. Ingredients are simple: beef stock, turnip, leek, carrot, parsnip.
It smelt delicious, and I eagerly accepted the invitation, ignoring Murtaugh's dour speculations as to the basic nature of the beast that had provided the stew meat.
Tasty treats with a contemporary twist. Claire's nettle-kissed buns from Dragon in Amber, Jenny's hare pie from Voyager, Scotch eggs from An Echo in the Bone.
And that's another thing I try to do, is try to bring back some of the more traditional foods that they would have eaten.
She researches both series and historical reference, pinching and dashing a lavish meal to life, bringing loyal Outlander fans back in time with Claire Randall for a moment at least.
Anything you eat has either been salted or preserved in lard, if it isn't half rancid, or else it's fresh off the hoof or out of the garden, in which case it can be bloody marvelous. So it's older food, which is why sometimes I say I modernize it. 250-year-old dishes aren't always palatable for those of us in the modern world.
Outlander Kitchen began 3 years ago with a walk in the woods.
I thought of this one particular meat pie that's described in one of the books, and I thought, wow, that would be really cool to create.
Gabaldon was thrilled with the idea too.
She describes food beautifully across all 7. So I take what she describes, and sometimes I do it very accurately and do it just as she's described it. Other times I take inspiration from it.
So these are oat cakes. They're in the book as well.
They are. They're all across the book, actually. They'd be a staple in 18th century Scotland. Gluten-free, so people today...
Today, Theresa says life is just about perfect.
We came here for a simpler life. We came here to slow down.
She writes, she cooks, she creates food from fiction.
And every day I jump out of bed, I know what I'm going to do, and most of it involves cooking, but it also involves my favorite series of books.
Perhaps she really has traveled back in time.
It doesn't get much better than that, really, quite honestly.
On Pender Island, I'm Paul Beilstein.